it, do it.
Do it.
Hello and welcome. I'm Nerdarchy Steve from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds, and as always, I'm joined by this nerd,
Nerdarchy Ted.
and we're doing the thing.
We're doing it. We're doing it live.
How are you doing this evening, sir?
Uh, Similar to you, pretty emotionally and physically drained after our first, 30 plus hours to getting in on that Kickstarter.
Yes, that was definitely. I definitely concur with that. Apparently, running a Kickstarter is exhausting because you're constantly hitting that refresh button just over and over. My finger can't take anymore.
It's like answer an email, check something, refresh the page, do this, do that, refresh the page.
So we're going to be talking about encounters tonight because, well, why not? We got a Kickstarter going on. In case you haven't heard, where basically we got a bunch of encounters that you can drop in your game. So, oh, my level is very low, huh? I'm going to level up. So, give me. Let me pour on the XP. Is
All
that
right.
better? Um, we were dealing with some sound issues that we were trying to fix, and usually shutting me up seems like a good way to start.
So, if any of you have any questions about encounters or about the Kickstarter or what have you, you can drop them in the chat. Just feel free to put question or at Nerdarchy in there so that we know you're trying to talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make it a lot easier. Also, um, the link to the Kickstarter is in the description, of course, because we would be bad Kickstarter people if we didn't do that. The Kickstarter police would come and take us away, I think. Can't have that at all. So, yeah, that's in the description. And we're going to be talking about encounters tonight because of the book of encounters we just put on Kickstarter. And it's kind of like the hallmark of playing D&D and role-playing games in general. Everything kind of has that kind of structure to it. So we've got three different pillars that you can build encounters for. You've got exploration, social, and of course combat. D&D is a very combat-oriented system. Pretty much like 80%, if not more, of the mechanics are based around that. So the game kind of lends itself to combat.
But that's not to say that you couldn't plan encounters specifically as one of the other two pillars, or have it so that it's a variable encounter. Either one, it's going to change, part way from exploration to social, or social to combat, or vice versa. So you've got definitely different ways to look at it, different ways to plan it.
Yeah, I build all of my encounters kind of like that. Occasionally I'll be like, all right, there's no way they're going to be able to talk to whatever this is. But that being said, I ran a game where I threw in a two-headed mutated tentacled T-Rex, and I didn't think there was a way for that to not be a combat encounter. And they totally turned it into, I don't know if you would call it social or exploration because you don't know you can really socialize with a T-Rex. But they did find a way to make it not a combat encounter anymore.
Well, that's pretty darn impressive, sir.
It required a lot of resources. There may or may not have been a polymorph spell, speak with animals spell, and tongue spell involved. So, like, if my players want to spend a lot of resources, or they're just super creative and come up with ideas, then heck to the yeah, I'm gonna roll with it, right? If they invest a lot in it and put a lot of thought and effort into it. Anytime your players do that, you should try and find a way to work with their ideas. Now, I'm not saying you automatically have to say yes, because your players will come up with harebrained, crazy stuff from time to time, and with all kinds of justifications and loopholes they want to try and find a jump through. But genuinely, if they're really like exploring the game, then I try and work with them and come up with something that's amicable for everyone. Like, and also, like, in the instance of the T-Rex, right, I had someone polymorph it into a goldfish, and then they picked it up and put it in a tankard of tea or something. And then the other player, there was another resource expend. One of the players cast Gaias on it.
Jeez, what level was this party?
They were like 7th or something. 10th. No, they were 10th level. That the first party they encountered, the two-headed mutated tentacle T-Rex, almost died. Like that thing was no joke. But no, so yeah, and so they geezed it, but they didn't have a way to communicate with it. But one of them was like, "Well, what if I can't speak with animals?" I'm like, "Okay, I can go with that." So that's fine for when it was a goldfish. But then after however long, it's going to turn back into the T-Rex, and they still needed a way to communicate with. So I allowed them to cast tongues on the T-Rex in order to train it a little bit. Now, I knew it wasn't going to be like a super big deal because, eventually this adventure goes into like a dungeon, so it wasn't going to fit anyway.
Right.
But, the players were so happy. They got to defeat the monster, and they had a pet crazy T-Rex that they get to ride around for a little bit. And, like, the adventure had to end a little bit early due to time constraints. And those players were, like, so happy because they're like, I don't care. I'm going to go chill with my giant... with my two-headed mutated tentacle T-Rex, and they couldn't have been happier.
So I have to say that for me, I have very much, I don't want to say evolved to insult the people who really do love the combat aspect, but my preferences of RPGs have changed drastically over the years that you and I have been gaming together, and I definitely now favor far more the social tier of the game, the social pillar. And when my players decide, we're going to skip the combat, I'm like, all right, great. And legitimately, the last session that I ran, here there was no combat at all. Like, you guys were recovering, from your entire sessions of fight, basically, and exploring the tower and seeing what was there. And then it was just the trek back to town and getting essentially your next mission. And I gave you the choice of, okay, you're gonna continue on with the mission and move to the fight that I had planned, or whether we wanted to, end a little bit, before I had planned. And everybody was like, yeah, we're good. We had a whole session of fight, and I can deal without it.
Well, I think the reason people wanted to end it though was only because, like, it seemed like a good ending spot. As far as, I don't think it was the lack of wanting to do combat or whatever. For me, it's very much depends on the character I'm playing with. Like, depending on the build, like Uthengar was very social and combat oriented, where my character Bolt in your game currently is more combat and exploration built.
Right.
And so the social aspects aren't really great for him, and he doesn't excel at those. But not only that too, he's a little bit of a jackass.
A little bit.
And when he gets rolling with his brother, it's even worse.
Well, I have to say that Akam, Ryan's character, he's not built socially either, but that doesn't hold him back.
Well, you really gonna call what he's doing social though? Antisocial is more like it. Hey, for anyone curious, Mike Gould is in the chat. He's the author and primary designer, the lead on the Out of the Box Encounters, hanging out with us tonight. So, which is really cool, Mike. Good to see you in one of the live streams.
So we got several talking points. I mean, do we want to continue on for a little while on encounters and give people some advice and what have you, and then eventually get to the list, or do we want to kind of bounce back and forth between encounters and lists, kind of yo-yoing it?
Yeah, we can talk about encounters for a little bit.
All right. So you honestly, when you're planning, you never know what your players are going to do. For instance, in my most recent game, I had gotten some minis, from here and there, one of which from, the Reaper's KickStarter. And I'm like, I want to use this, but I don't really know how, because it's basically a Baba Yaga's hut. So I while you're traveling back to town, they encountered, houses racing through the forest. And I'm like, I have no idea how trigger happy these players are going to be. Are they going to attack the houses? Are they going to attack the people that come out of the houses? So I really just like, all right, I'm just going to completely play this by ear and kind of react to how you guys react to my descriptions. And you guys were very tentative, even when it was like, yep, it's 2 elven women. So when you're planning your encounter, sometimes you really have to either be very improv-y and reactional, or plan for whatever it is you think that they might do or what they might not do, just because that's how sometimes things go.
I'm just still waiting for the third house to show up.
I think that when the one door wouldn't open, I was waiting for the comment of like, well, that's where the other one is.
Yeah. Anything's possible. Chris wants to know, how do you construct encounters that change when dealing with unintelligent foes like zombies? So it really depends on the unintelligent foe and what their motivation is. So unintelligent undead and constructs are very similar in the sense that they're automatons. They don't, they have programming. They just follow that. Zombies are and unintelligent undead. They're just going to, basically crave to snuff out life, and there isn't anything like you're not going to make that into a social encounter all of a sudden. Could possibly turn into more of a hazard as far as exploration goes, depending how you engineer it. Constructs can become like a puzzle to solve, but just because you can be flexible and change things, it doesn't mean every encounter is designed to do that. Like in the zombie example, because they only have so much intellect to work with, and they're just going to follow those primal instincts. Animals are the same way, but the difference is with animals that are more natural, they have base instincts that they're going to follow, and if the players can play to those by, either maybe luring them with food, or the ranger or druid has abilities where they can interact with them, then it can change. But zombies and constructs, not so much. Think of them more as machines, and traps than actual NPCs.
So zombies they're gonna move forward. They're not gonna look behind them. They're not gonna be worried about what is the best strategy. They're gonna go direct lines, and they're gonna do exactly what they're told. It's actually pretty easy if you've got components of a barrier and that kind of stuff to just put in their way and be able to either just block them and get out, trap them and AOE them, or do a variety of different stuff. But I mean, you're not going to really change a combat with zombies into anything more than potentially like an exploration puzzle of how to lead them into a trap, or how to lead them to their deaths without actually having to fight them. I think that's the best you're going to be able to do if you've got the right situation and intelligent thinking players.
So Proxima, thanks for your guys' help last live stream, because now I'm officially playing my tiefling ranger with a hellhound companion. Sadly, I can't go into towns because people hate hellhounds and tieflings. I don't blame them. Freaking tieflings. But yeah, I mean, that's cool. It's just another challenge, and we were glad to be able to help and get you a hellhound. Matter of fact, that happened in one of my other one shots in the castle. Was one player was trying to befriend the hellhounds, and another player was trying to murder them, and did, and then it devolved into PvP.
So Tony wants to know if we have any encounters in the book for Yonti.
Do we have any encounters for Yonti? I don't remember. Actually, I do remember there were Yonti, but I don't remember if Yonti is SRD or not, which is a big factor. If they're not SRD, then we absolutely don't.
We could make snake men. If we really...
Yeah, we can make snake people, but I bet you know who would know. We so happen to have the author right in the chat, and I'm sure he would know offhand. I do remember seeing them. I just know there were certain monsters we had to change because when we first started with Out of the Box, it was, we weren't going to make it a Kickstarter. It was just, something cool that Mike was doing on the website. It wasn't until later that after he did a bunch of them, we're like, you know what, this is really cool, and this deserves to be a thing. It deserves more attention.
And the amount of hands that have gotten involved into this, as each step has kind of evolved and moved on, like I've just become more and more excited, with it. I don't know how many of you have seen the new video that's been added to it, which is Josh over at Arknight kind of explaining how the different items of the Arknight pack are gonna function. That's like I mean, I worked with Josh personally to kind of formulate that thing, but yet seeing that video and all of the stuff kind of laid out in front of him, like, oh, that's gonna be amazing. I can't wait.
So yeah, it looks like the Yanti stuff that I'm looking at, it appears to be monster manual, not basic rules. So
Yeah, Mike says that the Yunti are protected. So if one of the extra encounters that possibly could get unlocked during the stretch goal, possibly there'll be some snake men in there. Only time will tell.
Snake Men can happen, that's for sure. All right, so before we go back into there was one in there. I was fairly certain of that. It was just a matter of, and anytime you work on projects like there's always like revisions that have to be made. So like you get it stuck in your head. It's like, well, what version am I remembering of said project?
Oh yeah, yeah. So Ryan from the Dream Syndicate Art Dolls is like Snake Men on a plane. River's like, oh god, zombie squirrels is terrifying.
So what do you got over there? You got some stuff you want to show off?
All right, so before we get into the show off stuff, let me bounce. Gen Con is just around the corner, so if you are going or considering going and that kind of stuff, Dave and I will be there. We're going to be road tripping a couple of days, prior to. But if you want to try and meet up or what have you, let us know if you're going to be there, and we'll try to see if we can put together a game or a hangout or something with whoever's able to make it. But if we've got some way of contacting you, I would imagine email would probably be preferable, Dave. Yes.
Yes.
So you can send us an email, nerdarchy@gmail.com. Probably the easiest way, and we'll formulate a folder for that and make that happen.
That's at least searchable and findable as opposed to a random message someplace.
So for a while, we've kind of just been doing our giveaways and just announcing, hey, this is what we're giving away right now. We kind of fell off the wagon of showing it off in advance. So we're back on schedule for that. Last week, I gave out the last series of books. This time we're doing a Pathfinder giveaway. We got some stuff from Legendary Games and Frog God Games. So we have Unrighteous Villains. It's an Adventure Path plugin, and Cutthroat and Cruise. Also Adventure Path plugin, kind of getting the vibe of encounters and adventures related to what we got going on behind Dave over there. And then from Frog God, we have Stoneheart Valley and the Fields of Blood. So, putting the math together, this is well over $80 worth of material. Now, you could just take the lore and all that kind of stuff from here and run it in 5e, or if you happen to be a Pathfinder player, this is going to be an amazing amount of stuff. So first Tuesday in August, so I guess when we get back from Gen Con is when we'll be announcing who gets that. So if you are interested in getting in on that, we have two different ways to get access to our giveaways. Number one, you could go over to the website, go to the contest and giveaways section, download the form, put it in an envelope stamped, mail that to our P.O. box, and I will add that to our giveaway list for that particular month. One person per month can be done that way, or one time per person per month can be done that way. But if you support us over on Patreon, even at $1 a month, you are automatically entered into that giveaway. for this pile, that's 80 months, and my brain is too fried to do a division by 12 at this point. But that's quite a number of years of stuff if you happen to win. So yeah, there you go. That's our next giveaway. I'll announce that in a few weeks.
It's only $80. It seems like it should be more.
No, it's more than $80.
Okay.
So it's the Stoneheart Valley has an MSRP of 33. Fields of Blood is 35, and I was guesstimating that the adventure paths were like 10 apiece, which was like 88.
Gotcha. Guesstimating. So that's cool. So yeah, we'll be announcing those, and I believe also we have something else to show.
Oh, we do. Let's just kind of keep going through the stuff on the list. So if you happen to remember, quite some time ago, we were, contacted by somebody doing an awesome Kickstarter for Dragon Baggins. They were cool dice bags that were totally had a dragon attached to them. They were super awesome. I enjoyed the one that they sent us. Well, now we've got Bag Thulu.
Yeah, I think Bag Thulu was actually the first one that Bridget did. And she had reached out to us to help promote the Kickstarter when they did Dragon Baggins, which was the second one. So yeah, so now we have a Bag Thulu to give away. She sent that over because she wanted more people to see the cool Bag Thulu.
So we're gonna be bringing one with us to Gen Con to kind of get some pictures, kind of like a flat Stanley kind of thing. So if you happen to be seeing us there, you'll be able to see what it looks like in person. But then apart from our normal monthly giveaway, we'll be doing a contest for this guy here, and it's totally cool because like you flip the head open to get the dice out.
No, you flip the head open and it vomits dice. Dice and madness. It's so delicious.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
So that's cool things that are coming up in the near future.
So that's the next giveaway. That's Bag Thulu. That's Kickstarter. Gen Con. We have some awesome Kickstarters from friends of the channel and RPG related stuff down in the description. I know some of them only have 2 or 3 days left. So specifically, if you want to get in on any of them, do it soon before it's too late.
And I still need players for my game. I think I have one.
Wow.
So yeah, I will be probably asking for players before too long.
So is that this weekend or next weekend?
That is next weekend.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I think next week you'll have to let people know how you're planning to do that if people have not responded in a timely manner.
That is, but I feel like it's one of those things. Like most people respond right away, one way or the other.
I have had in the past had somebody who he waited 10 days. Like, oh yeah, I just saw your email. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, some people just don't, use email. Don't check it.
I mean, for me, email is my job. So I have 2 personal email addresses. My personal and then my Nerdarchy one, and then I have my work one. So I'm literally at times in 3 different mailboxes. Like, all right, anything here, anything here, anything here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Too early for you. It's like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, Ryan's poor pun. I love it.
Should I ask?
So we mentioned the.
Oh yeah. I see it.
Flat Stanley. It's too soon.
Well, how about eCubby? Like an eCubby instead. I believe that's the other one that goes wrong. I think that's what I took with me to France was an eCubby.
Okay.
For your nephew.
Nice.
Who happens to also be my nephew.
Who also happens to be me.
Allegedly.
So if if you hadn't seen the Kickstarter, if you hadn't heard us exclaiming all about it, we are funded. Now
The
we,
thing
we,
happened.
we did it in less than 30 hours, just by a couple minutes, but less than 30 hours, which is super exciting for a first time Kickstarter to fund that quickly. So we are quite thrilled at our progress so far, but the work is far from done. We still have over 30 days at this point in time, and we have a lot of stretch goals that we want to see unlocked, including some super secret stuff that we can't even talk about yet. So yeah, very 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 happy to see where this thing goes to.
Yeah, I think while we've been sitting here chatting, I think we just picked up like another 350 pledges, or dollars in pledges.
I'm like, whoa, 350 people pledged
Yeah,
that
it's
much?
just doubled.
Wow!
It's just doubled.
Wow!
So yeah, we are getting we are getting closer to that first stretch goal, which is Lisa Penrose. She is a community manager for both DM's Guild and Adventures League, and she's also filling in right now at Wizards of the Coast, I believe, as well. So, and she's written on some of the Wizard Coast products. And we have a lot of other people who many of you folks have heard of, waiting in the wings.
Ryan, are you drunk tonight? That's what I want to know. The comments that you are making, dear Lord, boy.
Oh, maybe.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Don't drink and get on streams, kids. Don't drink and get on streams. But at least he's not like running one. Although at this point, I feel a little punch drunk myself.
so I'm excited, because the next stretch goal is 5 more encounters to the book, which is going to increase the Arknight pack. So you'll get more things specifically for what's going to be in there, which I'm super excited about. So like if we get more, everyone who's already pledged is just going to have that much more product for it.
Product is good. I know how much you love product.
It's just my mentality, and I have to say that the fan base out there has been super supportive. In Discord and here in the chat, there's been so much you deserve it. There's been comments like it couldn't happen to a nicer Kickstarter. So I mean, if even here Jose got more. You deserve it, guys. Like that. This is just what I'm seeing. Since noon today. It gets me in the feels, guys. I appreciate it.
No, it is definitely awesome. All the cool people commenting and like, oh, Nerdarchy's putting out a thing. We definitely want to get involved. It does definitely, hit you right in the feels, as you said, to get so much love and support from the community. And you don't even pay attention to like social media, like the Facebook. Well, Facebook more so, but like the Twitter and stuff, where I'm just seeing the retweet after retweet of our stuff, which is really cool.
I don't touch Twitter at all. It's one more thing. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Discord. I was kind of suckered or convinced to join yet another Discord channel today. I wound up watching some of the Revelo live sculpt on the World Anvil Twitch, and they're like, "Hey, come check out our Discord." Sure, why not? So I'm now in another Discord channel as well.
All the Discords, Ted. You're just gonna be in all the Discords.
You know what? It's just it is what it is. So I got 4. 4's not too hard to manage.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You need like 4 more. You just get your kids in there. They can help.
I'm afraid of what they might type to random people on the internet.
That's funny. I think it's funny that you're afraid what they might type to random people on the internet and not what random people on the internet might type to them.
Well, because they're not going to be under somebody else's name. They're going to think they're going to be talking to Ted. So,
I like yellow.
No, it's green. It's green now.
Oh, it's changed.
It's back to green because her current obsession with frogs.
Mm. So I did see a comment from Elfbait about friggin' time, nerds. Well, so here's the thing. Like we've been talking about doing this for like 2 years, We've been threatening to launch this particular Kickstarter, but it's taken so long because we wanted to get it right. Like, we didn't want to half-ass it. We wanted to make sure we can give you fine nerds the best product we can possibly give. I mean, Michael did a fantastic job with the writing. We wanted to make sure we could put all the other stuff together to complement that. You know, we wanted to get really good artists. We wanted to get really good cartographers. And we've done really good with assembling a team. And here's the thing: like, you can make an awesome book and get all that stuff together, but if you don't have the plan for launching the Kickstarter and getting the word out so people see it, like, all that work's going to be for nothing. You know, so that was actually super important for us to take our time and figure out, you know, our strategies and who we wanted to partner with going forward. And I think we got it. You know, I think we're going to do really good, and I'm really happy with the support we've gotten. And people seem to be digging the page. When I was shopping it around to different industry people, and they're like, "Yeah, that looks good," or "Yeah, you're going to do really well." That felt really good because these are people that have done a lot of Kickstarters and whose opinions I greatly respect.
I completely concur, and you know that cover art by Sarah Dollinger, it really jumps off the page. It grabs so many things that are iconic to D&D, and it makes you like, I want to have that book. I mean, this is our product, and yet like watching the numbers, I'm like, I want this funded because it's ours, but I want it on my shelf. I want to be like, yes, that is our book. That is what Nerdarchy has done. So yeah, I fully agree. This is that we've been waiting for it to be right, and all of the pieces have aligned just for this. And who knows where do we go from here? What's the next thing?
We definitely have some ideas, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, so you might start. We may have started something that we cannot stop now.
But is it a bad thing? Like,
you're gonna need a section on your shelf just for Nerdarchy books.
You know what? I'll clear stuff off. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, and everyone who's shared out and is following and has helped get the word out, we appreciate it. We want to thank everyone who's done that. And, if you can't pledge, that's fine. We understand, but your shares do really help and gets it in front of more eyeballs, and the more people that go and just look at it too also helps us out with the with the algorithm for Kickstarter, and gets more people from Kickstarter looking at it, and which is doubly cool because then they get introduced to Nerdarchy, in our community, and we get to grow the community even more with people who may not have been aware of us before. So it's a huge, giant cyclical thing.
So awesome comment from Elfbait. Seeing my minis in the wild is an amazing feeling. I look forward to you sharing that joy with your book. So I get it. Elfbait, I have some of your minis that I've gotten from alternative armies, and it'll be really cool when that book is out there. I know that there's some people who have talked about can we get it signed or what have you. That's an issue, but if you see us in the wild once you have yours, we'll absolutely sign it then.
Unless you come in at our highest tier, then we will get it to you signed, no problem.
Yes.
I was just thinking, like, because we're doing the flat plastic minis, which are really cool. I thought of the mini we have to get Arknight to make us.
Sure.
For the Aces High encounter, which is one of my favorites, folks. Aces High is Goblin bombardiers basically on giant bats. And there's like a new mechanic in that encounter for their bombs, their grenades. And I think one of the things we have to do.
We got a super chat come in from Tundlich.
Yeah. How do you guys requisition your illustrators? You know what? We've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of people and make a lot of contacts, and then we're like, here's a pile of money, make us cool stuff. That's how it generally works. The better the art, the bigger the pile, the money you have to give them.
So it's fine. It's it's a process of figuring out how much you're willing to pay, and what kind of artist you can get for that. I mean it's
But
really a challenge.
what I say is I want Arknight to make us grenades, little small or tiny grenade tokens to put out for that encounter, because they have a mechanic that would be perfect for that because they're on a timer.
So I think that could be like an object that like if you don't need it to stand up.
Oh no, I think it should stand up. I think it should stand up and be out there almost like a monster.
Okay. Well, I mean, they do have a small size token, or mini. So that would require the extra bases. If you're doing the aces high, they would have to be using the flying bases, and whether or not you'd want the goblin on, like the goblin on they're on bats.
Yes.
Yeah. So if the goblin is on the bat, is that one mini, or is that a flying bat and a goblin together, and that's two minis? That's logistics at that point in time.
Yeah. I think we'll end up doing like one mini, just because it's cool. Because you can always get goblins and put out goblins if they fall off the bats.
Yeah, yeah.
Easy peasy. So according to Mike, that was actually during a live chat. That was a request that he did and ended up turning it into an encounter that is now going to be in the book. So hopefully in the book. I'm not sure. I don't remember where it falls in our scheme of things.
It is not in the 30, so we're going to definitely need to unlock that first stretch goal, to get more encounters to insert that it goes in there.
I suspect, I'm going to go out on a limb, that we're going to unlock that first stretch goal.
Well, honestly, like I'm satisfied that we funded, but we got a long way to go till I'm really happy with its progress, because there's so much that we've planned and talked about and wheeled and dealed to make happen. So if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be sad.
Oh, it's happening. But I saw a question in the chat. But folks, put question in front of it because it makes it really hard to pick them out. Otherwise, fun encounters but deadly encounters. How do you balance them? What is your secret sauce, Ted?
So my trick is trying to deal with you never know how the dice are going to roll. There's times that you can be on fire as a DM and just crush things, and other times you just are rolling like crap, and something that you thought was going to be challenging winds up being a cakewalk for the players. So my first go-to step with planning encounters is you can put things in waves, or you can put things in a area where it's a little bit easier for them to kind of get some extra damage on your bad guys before they're going to get in there. If you want deadly, you're going to start off with an ambush. You're going to allow for potentially more enemies to join the fray, so that if your ambush is really deadly, you roll really well, and then you beat them on initiative. Well, then you don't need to add in that second group of people. You let them survive through what's there. So you've got that barrier, that cushion of the enemies or the players never know how many waves that you've got planned. So you can cut it off when you felt you've hit the challenge level that you're looking for.
So I kind of build I eyeball my encounters. That's how I build them. Because when me and Ted calculate the numbers for the encounters that I do a lot of times, they're astronomical and ridiculous. but they're really not when they're really not when we actually play it out, right? Depending. And also I feel like we've got some really good players in that game as well that really manipulate the rules and are kind of optimize things, at least in the combat. So I've definitely put out encounters and we're that was deadly like 5 times over, but it was actually kind of easy for you guys.
My oh god.
Well, because your character is pretty strong, a spellcaster, and then Ryan's character is a pretty strong spellcaster, and Ryan's a really experienced player. Anthony and Nicole are really experienced players. Then there's Todd, but everybody else is really experienced and does really effective, efficient things. but Todd will sneak up on you too, because then he'll do something and be like, "What? You did something useful," and it's like you just added three characters to the combat.
Every once in a while, he does manage to pull something like that out. But like my first encounter at the castle, players are level 1. I led them into an ambush, and the players lost initiative. So like, I could have killed them. I could have been a TPK in the first 10 minutes of the castle, and it's like, well, you just spent all that money for nothing.
No refunds. Game's over.
Good night, everybody. And like, I've managed to, situate things in a different way, but like Jeremy's character, I was the most enthused about, because he actually, as a Patreon supporter, he played the Beardomancer, which, was, super awesome, because that's something that I had a hand in creating, Doug and I, but like he didn't take part in that fight at all. And I'm like, he's going to hate me. He's going to absolutely despise me.
I know I do. Oh, did I say that outside? I thought that was my inside voice.
But we wound up getting through the encounter. He lived, but I could have totally been that jerk DM who's like, all right, I'm gonna deliver a coup de grace and killed him, because there was reason for the bad guys to do that. But I'm like, I can't do that to a first level PC. And of course, none of the party had a healer's kit. I don't know if anybody was actually trained in medicine. It was a near thing.
It got kind of hairy in there.
For the Beardomancer, it was hairy.
I mean, I try and think of what players. Now, this doesn't work obviously if you're playing in organized play or any kind of situation where people are just going to show up to your game, and you have to really think about your encounters a lot differently. But when you're playing in a home game with a group of people that you're familiar with, it's completely different. And I always just think about, what are the characters in that group, what are they playing, what are the capabilities, and I try and like guess how they would interact with a particular encounter or combat. Now, this can also backfire on you, Todd. Thanks a lot. It's always Todd. Because you're like, oh, I can use a ton of Sturges on the party, because the bard will just cast sleep and put them to sleep. It's like, he's no problem putting to sleep like an orc or a goblin by themselves, but all the Sturges, no. Which almost turned into an actual deadly encounter.
Yeah, that can happen. Players like, I change out a spell, or I don't have that prepared, or, I just don't think to use that.
Or I'm going to attack with my longsword. These things can happen.
Yep.
But that's kind of how I look at it. I go, well, do I have mage or casters that are going to be using a lot of control spells that are going to spread out a lot of damage, and I try and take that stuff into account.
So there is talk about making sure your dice are balanced, and there's plenty of online tips and videos for putting them in salt water and making sure that they are in fact balanced. So that is something that should you so desire to do, please feel free. But I do not hold Nerdarchy responsible for any damage to your dice should salt water affect them.
Yeah. That's why you need easy roller dice. They always just roll good.
I'm very fond of my easy roller, ancient dice of metal dragons, or metal dice of ancient dragons. I never remember what the thing is, but that one D20 is my favorite.
Yeah, I think Ryan should probably know. He does their Instagram. He can put it in the chat, maybe.
Maybe. Although I have to say that I was pretty happy of the gift that you brought me back from the castle with your game from Dwarven Forge,
Uh,
because the anvil is actually my character's holy symbol. So I'm
oh,
happy.
so that's the D20 you're using now.
I use the I roll 3 dice because I'm actually playing a 2 weapon fighting barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said my cleric and barbarian in the same sentence. Yes. So I have 3 dice that I roll, and that dice is now, or that die has supplanted one of my other dice in that trio.
Oh no, it's taking it out.
It has. So we got a question from Eric. When it comes to specialty dice, do you prefer stone, wood, or metal? I'm gonna say metal.
Stone wood. I like the honestly the gemstone dice I had gotten from the castle last year. I really liked them. So I like the way they had like a good heft to them. They had a good feel to them. I don't own them anymore, but I like those.
You gave them to your wife.
I did. I gave her all my castle dice. So I gave her my castle dice from this year too. So hopefully she'll be able to use them next year.
It's Metal Dice of Ancient Dragons. This is from Ryan.
There you go. Bam.
But yeah, I'm fond. I have some stone dice. I have, in my good set, I have a stone die from Skull Splitter that I occasionally use. There's like 90 20s in that bin now that I use, specifically when I'm streaming. But I do also have a handful of Tiger's Eye dice that I have picked up because Tiger's Eye is my favorite stone, favorite gemstone, call it what you will. So I needed to have those, and I pull those out on special occasion.
I generally do plastic. I tend to roll just a lot of the cheapo dice, honestly, and because I have my ritual. Many of you probably remember from when we've done our live plays that we used to put up, where I just pour out the Diceocopia. So I go for like sheer quantity, and then like a vampire, I have to then sort them all in order to play. I don't know why.
My dice bin of my good dice. It's all metal and stone that's in there, but like the lid fits on securely, so everything keeps the proper die face up, the way I typically train my dice. So I don't need to go through that typical ritual of putting them all face up. They're already there.
That's not your normal tray? Is it a different one?
No, it's like a little metal tin.
Yeah.
It's slightly bigger than the typical easy roller dice thing, because it's got 3 full sets in it, and then a variety of other stone and metal dice that I've picked up, like the ones you brought me back from Origins, and a couple other things. Like I know there's a Norse Foundry aluminum die that's in there that's all like a tie-dye type effect.
Yeah, that's what I actually gave my wife this time around, was the aluminum dice. I actually just like having a hodgepodge, and I don't know why. It's just like this weird ritual I have of sorting the dice when we play.
Hal Deacon, quantity has its own quality.
Yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong, I like quantity as well, but
Ted's now a dice snob.
no, I'm not. I mean, I actually the dice that are on here, I've been trying to find out what it was for a while, and Scott, who made the sign, he might have told me, but I couldn't find the information. So I found it's Orange Ghostly Glow, and I just had a set of that, or a slightly bigger set, but more than a normal 7-piece set, delivered to the house this past week. So I still buy plastic dice. I still want more dice. That's not happening. It's not all about the metals and the stones.
There's also rarity.
Yeah, it wasn't even that. It was like I wanted that specifically. So those are the dice that I will actually bring in with me to Gen Con for any gaming that we do. Not my stream set.
Last year we didn't have any time to really game at.
Well, yeah, we recorded 21 freaking videos. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
This year we'll have a lot. We'll have time to do a lot more of that. So, question: what sort of maps in the Kickstarter? There's actually a video on the Kickstarter page. Now, it might be under the updates. We're gonna have to get it moved over, if it isn't already, to the main page, where Josh from Arknight goes through and it like, kind of shows everything off, explains how it works. You know, there's different kinds. There's different map assets for the flat maps that Arknight has. Like they have like coliseums that you can put down. They got boats. They got ships, and then they have like terrain, like wilderness or plains or whatever. And then you have the objects that you can put down on them to kind of build the scenario.
So I love their map pieces, and they are built in such a way that you can kind of angle and rotate them however you need to. And honestly, that Coliseum is my favorite piece that I have. I don't use it a lot, but when I have the capacity to pull that out, I do.
So we got a good question from Angie Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Running my first game for adults and wanted to know how many creature encounters should I plan for a 4-hour game. Basically, I think we've said it before and we've settled on about an encounter an hour.
So
Whether go ahead, Ted.
depending upon whether you're looking at this is a social, this is a puzzle, this is an actual combat. Things are going to round out to 45 minutes to an hour on a given encounter. So if you're looking at combat, that's going to be your 4-hour allotment. But I would certainly not plan for four combats in one session. That can be quite long and go over your 4-hour allotment.
Yeah, 4 hours. It's probably a good plan would be one social, one combat, and one exploration, and then have one of any of those three in your back pocket in case you need another encounter to do stuff with.
I would actually, given my party, and you never know whether they're going to shut their mouth and not talk, or whether they're going to blow through a combat encounter. For a 4-hour session, I would be looking at having one of each, and then an extra 2, but planning on not using everything that you have.
That's a good way to go about it. Mario Sack, thank you for the super chat. Just want a mound of dice. I'll sit in them as I GM like a glorious throne, king of chance.
Nice. Now, so do you actually forget the throne of fused swords? Do you want the throne of dice that you can sit in like a giant chair that's all dice glued together?
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Like a big beanbag chair, but with dice. All D4s.
Oh God. Because I think that would be kind of cool to have a throne made of dice, but that would take an awful lot.
You need minions. You definitely you have to commission that and let someone else do that shit.
Yeah, I would run over and grab it, but it's way over there. But I did glue dice together to make something funky and interesting that I'll share at some point in time. But it was a thing of like, hey, is this awesome or is this sacrilege to glue dice together?
Sacra awesome. Awesome religion. I don't know.
So DMG info, congrats on the Kickstarter.
Thank you. I wonder what time it is in Australia right now.
Don't ask me, man.
Well, whenever I see DMG info, that makes me wonder.
Oh, here we go. So here's a question from How to D&D. What character level do the encounters cover?
They cover a wide variety of levels, so you'll definitely be able to find something in there for your party for sure. And I believe there's also information in there as far as adjusting stuff as well.
I'm glad you had a good answer for that one, because it's been so long since I've looked at the specific materials. I was not aware of what the challenge brackets were going to be, or how that was going to go to final layout of, hey, how do we deal with this?
Well, that's one of the things we have to, like, that's the book is pretty much written, but the one of the big questions is how do we want to present them, right? Do we present them, alphabetically? Do we present them by challenge? Do we present them by region and location? So, like, there's definitely, there's some decisions we have to still make on the layout as far as what do we think will be most useful for people.
So I think we could pick, here's a set layout, and then have an appendice page, in the back for, hey, you want to do all foresty stuff, here's this. You want to do all dungeony stuff, here's these. I think that could be, an incredible extras that would be helpful to DMs.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's probably what we'll do. We'll pick one method, and then the ones that we don't, we can just make an appendix. Because it's not, it's only going to be a page or so or two to break them up, so it shouldn't be bad. Although we might need those pages for all the backers because there's so many backers.
Are we over 400 yet?
Not yet. We're getting close. We're closing in. Although it was fun when we went over $9,000. When we hit that 9,000 initially, because we're nerds, so we gotta make over 9,000. I didn't even watch Power. I know I don't even watch Dragon Ball Z, but I'm in the culture, man. I'm in the culture. I'm in there. I've watched it vicariously through you.
and all of the friends' comments who have been like, dude, he just screamed for 20 minutes. Really? That's an entertaining show? Like, yes it is.
Yeah. 3 shows later, he's like.
He's still powering up. It's one thing to have watched that show, like, okay, you watch an episode and you got to wait till next week or tomorrow or what have you. But like, I didn't see it that way. I just sat and like binged like an hour or two at a time, when I had time. So like, I watched it all, in mega chunks. So I didn't have to wait too long. But I have seen, some pretty sour critiques of like, all right, if you just cut out all the yelling, there's really not much of a show. And then somebody did a take of like, okay, episode 1, episode 2, it was just nothing but yelling for like 14 episodes. It's like, all right, that's it, Dragon Ball Z.
Just nothing but yelling, of course.
So lots of fun things that's there.
But my point is, still, I'm in no nerd culture, and it's still, I get it. Like, I get it. I might be adjacent to the DBZ, but and also I felt like it was a little after my time.
Okay.
So I know there were plenty of people that went back for it, but it didn't draw me in. I never really got into pretty much of the anime stuff at all.
My son's friend, or one of my son's friends, watches that, or has watched it, whatever you want to call it. And Teddy's tried to find it on Netflix a couple of times. I'm like, sorry, man, it's not there. It's like, you want to get into that, it's going to be a long haul to, try and, go buy all the DVDs at this point.
Yeah. Oh, you know what, too? It's also probably nice to point out with the Encounters book out of the box, not all the encounters are combat encounters. There's exploration. There is social encounters. There is all kinds of stuff in there. Whether you're strolling through the marketplace or the wilderness, you can use one of these encounters.
And we don't even know what our awesome special guest star, encounter writers are going to do when they get to theirs. Like, they've got carte blanche, man, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So that'll be a mystery to us, which is really exciting as well. And we've got some really good writers too. Two of them have written for Wizards.
Yes.
Yeah. So top tier. Oh, wait a minute. We're giving away stuff that they don't know about yet, though.
Well, you've given away one piece of information that somebody who has written for Wizards is going to be, one of the future possible stretch goals if we get there, which we hopefully will.
We're going to do all the stretch goals.
I'm hoping so, man. I mean, I am hoping that we have to think about, what comes after what we have planned, because I want to go past that.
I think we got like 11 of them planned out so far.
I think so.
Sounds about right. But I think that's a good place for us to end tonight. But we'll be back next week, Mondays for a patron only hangout. Patrons even at $1, you'll get the invite. And Tuesday nights, we'll be doing this again with you fine folks. Come join us. Come hang out. If you haven't checked out the Kickstarter yet, go take a look at the page. What do you think? Hey, if you're not interested or you can't back at this time, please share for us because that even helps a lot. So we appreciate it.
Share it out. Pass it along to your D&D group.
Yeah, it's randomly go in stores, open up the computers to that page and leave them. That's fine. With that, until next time, folks, stay nerdy.